Listen, that was quite an introduction. Thank y'all very much. Uh, I'm uh, I'm excited to be here, and what an honor to get to join y'all
Excited
today.
to have you, Penny. You're a blessing to
Man,
all
what?
of us.
Yes.
Well, y'all listen. Y'all are an incredible blessing. When we have you blazing the trail, mercy. There's no reason, and setting up the systems. There's no reason that people can't succeed. Like truly. I don't know how many people know my story, but I'd tried numerous direct sales company. In fact, I was in Mexico a couple of weeks ago, and Daniel Plant, he said, "Penny, let's just count how many direct sales companies you've been in." And I said, "Daniel, this is going to be embarrassing. Really, it's going to be embarrassing because." Uh, so got my phone out. I was looking at all my passwords, logins, and I'm pretty sure that I've missed a few from way back earlier because I've tried direct sales since I was 25. And we came up with 22. 22. And now, in my defense, I didn't work all of those, but I would buy the biggest product, or the biggest package, to get the best price. But it was kind of funny. So I've probably worked 8 to 10 of them. And when I say worked, I say that loosely because I had no success. I'd never really built a team. So if that's you today, listen, there's hope. You only have to be right one time. And today is the day to be right. And so, just to give you a little backstory, Joe Navarro, who was my kid's old basketball coach, and he called me back in May of last year and told me about the patches. And I thought, I need them for myself, my 3 kids, and my mom. So I bought the big package. Never intended to work the business. Like I said, I hadn't had success, and I thought, this one, this just isn't for me. And but the thing Joe did that's very important, I think, people to realize is he painted a vision of where he was going, where the company was going, like Stephen G, like he painted the vision. So I had that in the back of my mind, even though I had no intention of working the business. So another thing he did is he checked back after a couple of 2 or 3 weeks and said, "Hey, how's it going?" And he had checked on me before then, but at that time, I'd had great results. My youngest son had had great results. And I said, man, my feet had been giving me fits for years. And let me back up and say, I'm not making any health claims. I'm not going to make any financial claims. This is strictly my story, nobody else's. So don't take this as like, oh, if it did this for you, it's going to do it for me. There's a lot of variables that go in there, but this is my story, this, health wise and financially, that I'm going to tell you. So I just want to get that straight. But so anyway, Joe checked back in, and I said, "Man, I've had great results." And he said, "Well, do you want to get your patches paid for?" That's literally how I joined the business. As he said, "Do you want to try to get your patches paid for?" I said, "Sure. Yeah, that sounds great." He said, "Okay, let's make a Facebook post." I said, "All right, sounds good." He said, "I'll help you with the wording. Now, here's the deal. You've got to take a picture, take a selfie with the patch." And I said, "Joe, buddy, that might be a deal breaker." And he said, "Penny, I coached your kids. Now let me coach you." So I was like, "Okay, fair enough." So he sent the wording. I kind of tweaked it a little to make it my own, took a selfie, put it online. My kids were mortified. Mortified. They were like, "Mom, what are you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm just trying to tell people about these little patches they need to hear." And my oldest son called my daughter and said, "Can you please teach mom how to take a selfie?" Well, nobody told me there were selfie rules. I had no idea that there were selfie rules. So anyway, they don't laugh near as much today. They realize people don't care what your selfie looks like when they have issues in their life. They don't care. They just want to know how to feel better. And so I had great response from that post. So then I'd call Joan and go, "Well, now what do I do?" So he would tell me, he said, "Send them this is it info." So that's what I did. That's what I did then. That's what I do now. That's what I teach my team to do. You pique interest, Steve says if you're talking more than 2 minutes, you're talking too much. So that's one thing I always did too much before. I talked too much. I'm a researcher, and so man, I would research and look, and then I felt obligated because I knew the answer. So when they started asking questions, then I would just keep telling them and run them off really because I gave them too much information. And you have to keep in mind that every single thing that you do, it duplicates. It duplicates good or bad. And so, since nothing had worked before, this time for whatever reason, I decided to listen to Joe. And so, um, part of that probably was I'd gone through a divorce, um, had to sell all my cows to get that divorce, and I had to find a way to make a living. And so I thought, maybe I should listen to somebody that knows what they're doing or what they're telling me. And Joe had had some success in business before, but he was also following this system. And just because you've been in another direct sales company or network marketing, this we do it a little different. And Steve and Gina have set up the most incredible systems that make it so easy to share. And so I send this as an info. Like I said, that's what I did then. That's what I do now. And then I said, okay, now what do I do, Joe? And he said, see if you can get them on a call. That call could be a three-way call. It could be a Zoom. There's incredible Zooms, amazing Zooms that you can plug people into. And a Zoom is nothing more than a big three-way call for with a lot of people. But I had such good results getting them on three-way calls with my upline. Like I had a text group with Joe, Robbie, and Rebecca. And I would just go to this text message group and I'd say, hey, can somebody do a call for me at 4 o'clock today? And somebody would say yes. And so that's what I did. I built my whole business around three-way calls. And so to get them to agree to the call, like I would go to Messenger. That's where I would send them this is it info because most of these people that responded on Facebook, I didn't have their phone number. The cool thing about this system, it translates to picking up the phone, to talking to your Uber driver, to talking to your family in person. You can translate this whole thing no matter how you do it. You just pique interest. However that works for you, you pique interest. Then you send them this is it info. And that's great from a common layperson that couldn't care less about the science to doctors and everybody in between. It's got everything you could want. They can go as deep or as shallow there as they want. And so when I would made the Facebook post, Joe did tell me, he said, go to Messenger, send them this as it info, and then go back on the post, comment, and like their post. So that's what I did. I would like their post and I would say where they or like their comment, and I would say, hey, I sent you some information. And then if they were engaging with me, kind of like Steve said a minute ago, like if people are wanting to sign up right then, like go for it. Don't say, oh, I've got to get them on a Zoom. Oh, I've got to get them on a call. No, take their information. You take it down and then you can plug them in later, but take it down and get the order. And so if they were engaging right then, I would say, hey, do you have time to talk? I'd love to call you about these little patches. And that's how I would set up the call. If they didn't immediately, ask for information right then, uh, or, engage any, then I would go back in a day or two and I'd say, hey, is there a good time for me to call you about these little patches? I'd love to tell you about them. Do you have time this afternoon or tomorrow? Like I gave them a definite time, this afternoon or tomorrow. And then I would have my, Joe, Robbie, or Rebecca on the call and would introduce them. And then I muted myself and I took notes because I thought one day I need to do this for my people. And Joe kicked me out of the nest pretty quick. He's like, okay, as my team started growing, he's like, you get to do it this time. And thank goodness I'd taken notes because everyone says things a little different. So I would take notes. And then the other thing, I use the order form. I always use the order form. Some people, some people send links, that's okay, but I use the order form because I found that if something happens when you're enrolling, if it times out or something like that, you don't have to go back and get all that information from people. So, also take a lot of notes on my order forms, like the husband has a frozen shoulder, the wife's knee hurts, whatever. I put notes on the back, and then, if someone comes to you and they're like, well, I don't really know if I'm having that good a results. Well, I'll remind them. I'm like, oh, well, what about this? What about that? And invariably, people are like, oh my goodness, I forgot. And you'd think, how could people forget? But they do. And I've done it. My family's done it. My mom is 90 years old and she's had tremendous results. And every once in a while, I'll ask her something, and she'll say, oh, I hadn't thought about that. Oh, that's better. Hadn't thought about that. And so, this technology is so incredible. I feel a social and moral obligation to share with people. And I think when you hear the stories of what it's done, how it's changed people's lives, physically and financially, when you hear those stories and it gets deep down in your soul, you talk to people different. And people understand, like, they understand your heart. Nobody can ever listen to Steve and Gina and not know that they love everybody. It ekes out every pore of them. Like, they love people. They want us all to succeed, and they have done everything in their power and then some to make sure that we have the tools we need. So all we have to do is plug in, and a lot of people, they get frustrated, they talk to their friends and family, and sometimes they're the hardest, actually, like they're the hardest. And it hurts their feelings, and they're like, well, you know this just isn't working. I'm not getting anywhere. But you just got to persevere. And if you just keep at it for just a little while, then you'll quickly see, like, branch out, leave your family alone. They're watching you. You can be assured that they're watching how you're doing. And so just start reaching out to people. Pick up the phone, call people, whatever is comfortable. Make a social media post, whatever it is, to pique their interest. When you're around people, you'll be amazed if you start listening. People often tell you about something on their body that's not working like it was when they were 30, or they talk about their finances. A lot of time, there's so much potential. We're, we're just getting started. I mean, we're in such a sweet spot that the whole world they need a patch. This is what I found out after I made that post. The whole world hurts and needs a patch. They need it physically, financially, or both. And so when there's that much potential, like Steve said, it screams opportunity. This screams opportunity, a patented product. And when something works this well, this technology works so incredibly well, you just can't keep your mouth shut. I can't in good conscience. I don't want anybody to ever come to me and say, why didn't you tell me? I thought you were my friend. I thought you were my family. Like, why did you not open your mouth and share that with me if it's so life changing? And it is life changing for a lot of people. But a couple of things, like, when you're talking to people, they need to hear the excitement in your voice. You need to have the conviction, and, like, don't be monotone. It's like, oh, I found this really cool technology. I found this little sticker. It works really good. You can't do that. People have to, people pick up on authenticity. They have to know that you firmly believe in what this does for you. Like, I believe in this. I'm telling you, it doesn't matter what people tell me. It doesn't matter if people are like, oh, that's a pyramid thing. Oh, that's a scheme. Oh, that, next, 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 next. Don't waste your time, because some people are closed minded. They just are. And that's okay. Love them where they are, and on the way to where you're going to go. And so, it's interesting, how your yes can affect a lot of people. And what a difference a year has made in my life. It's about 15 going on 16 months. my life's totally changed. Like it's so incredible how my life has changed. It's been enriched, and I had felt like I had a rich life with family, and as a rancher, I love raising cattle and horses and all the things. This is just another this is another step in the journey, and but it's been so sweet, like meeting people like Steve and Gina Merritt that make you a better person by just being around them. The culture, the culture in this business is just out of this world. I've never been surrounded by so many positive people that speak life into you, that speak hope into you, and you can't help but pick it up. You just pick it up. And so because I said yes, now there are 6,600 people, and I want to say 6,600 families because it's usually not just one person that have been affected, that have said yes as well because I said yes. Like that's almost 7,000 people. I think about that sometime. Like what if I hadn't said yes to Joe? What if Joe hadn't been excited and painted a vision? What if he hadn't come back and said, "Hey, Penny, do you want to get your patches paid for?" Like I think about that a lot of times. And the conferences, I cannot tell you, you've got to be there. You just and get as many of your team as you can there. So I'd been in the business, working the business about a year. Last year really started working in June of 2024, and July was a convention in Orlando. And everybody gets something different. That's why you really, like Gina says, you need to have butts and seats. Like you need people in the seat because everybody gets something different. And one of the main things that I got from last year was that yes, this is a numbers game. Like you've got to enroll a lot of people, if you want to build a big business. I think it was Mike Hernandez that at that conference, I can't remember for certain, but had people stand up on his team and told how many people they'd enrolled and how many people were working the business. And I was floored because it it wasn't that huge a percentage of the people they'd enrolled that were working the business, and they'd built a big business. And so I've enrolled 98 people. Nobody needs to compare themselves to that. I'm going to give you these numbers so that you can grasp this concept. I get matching check bonuses from 8 to 10 people at any point in time of my personally enrolled people. Really, about 5 of them are really working the business. And I hit senior presidential director at 5.5 months and elite senior presidential director at 15 months. And so when I got that in my head, that it doesn't, yes, you've got to go through the numbers to get to the people that want to work, but they rise to the top. You can't, that's why you reach up when like if you want help, reach up. We're trying to help people down below us, but we don't know that you're interested until you let us know. And so um, once I grasped that concept, I thought, well, that's not that hard. That is not that hard. In Orlando, I was saying, ranching's hard, like chopping ice, feeding cattle in the snowpocalypse. That's hard. This isn't hard. We make it hard. Most of the battle's between our ears. And so we make things way too complicated. If you will keep it simple, peak interest, send them this is it info, and then get them on a call, whether it's a three-way call or a Zoom. Uh, go to that's all you got to do. Do it over and over. Peak interest. Send them this is it info. Get them plugged into a call or a Zoom or a three-way call and do it over and over and over. And you'll wake up and pinch yourself like I do every day thinking, oh my goodness, how did I get here? How did I get this is and the Lord absolutely dropped this in my lap. He did. And you know, I'm forever grateful. But Steve and Gina, when they set up the system and I heard like 20 on the right, 20 on the left, and get there as fast as you can, and then bring people with you, try to, and then just do it again, do it again, do it again. And a lot of my team, when we came out of the Orlando convention, we're on a 90-day run. And then we were hearing about this 21-day fast start. So we're like, well, we can incorporate four of those into our 90-day run. So there's a lot of people on my team that are really, they're crushing it right now. And Steve challenged me when I was in Utah, when I went to go see the Welcome Center, and they were so gracious to have them at their beautiful home there in Utah. And he said, Penny, I want you to double the number. At the time, I think I had 86 people signed up to go to conference. And I was trying to get to 200. I think I probably got to, I lost count along the way, probably 170 people that I had at conference. And sure enough, when I got back, I hit SPD like quickly. And I credit that with the people that went to conference and caught the vision. I can't give the people the vision that they get from all these incredible people that they heard at the conference. It was such a power packed few days. Incredible. I mean, I about filled up a notebook, wore out my pen, taking notes. Just there's so many good nuggets that you pick up. And so I would encourage you, I'm telling you to get people to the conferences. That can do more for your business than you can do alone. And that's the thing is duplication so important at this. And if you teach that and your people get their people at the conference, then it multiplies pretty quickly. Um, I just keep thinking, we are popping SPDs. I can't keep up. It's exciting. You think, wow. I mean, there's still so much room at the top for every one of you. Everybody that's on this that hears this, there's room for y'all. You just have to put your nose down and go to work. And it's a decision. You're a decision away from changing your life. It doesn't, it's not some hard thing like mine literally was when Joe said, do you want to try to get your patches paid for? That yes changed my life. So you have to know that yes can change your life. But plug in, stay close to the fire, use the tools. Um, make you a list. We all know a lot more people than we think. Like we'll write down some people to begin with. Go back through your phone, A to Z. Think about your friends, your relatives, your acquaintances, neighbors, your kids' friends, parents, grandparents, um, church, clubs, different things. Write people down and then just go to work in your way through them. Just, make up your mind. A lot of times we can talk ourselves into things and then we can talk ourselves out. So chances are when you got in this business, you're like, oh, I think I could do this. And then you get your first no and it just lets the wind out of your sails. You're like, oh my goodness, maybe I can't do this. You can. You can absolutely do it. You just have to make up your mind. And so, maybe you think today I had a rough day. Like, I just don't really want to call anybody. I don't really want to get on Zoom. I don't want just do it. Do it anyway. Run hard for a few years, like run hard, change people's lives. It's not all about the money. The money's great. You can do money's a tool. Money brings out the good in people and money brings out the bad in people. So have a good concept of what you can do, and I think need to get along with the Lord and see what He has. What does He have for you? What kind of goals does He have? Let Him download the dreams and visions in your heart of where you want to go with this business, and and then just go to work. Just go to work. Take ownership of your own business. Don't think, oh, I got put on the wrong leg. Oh, they got the special kit. Oh, somebody asked me a while back, they said, well, I heard that you brought your whole team, to you. That's why you grew fast. And I laughed because I thought, you have to have a team to bring a team. I never had a team in anything I'd ever done before. Like, no, I didn't bring, I'm just like everybody else. We all get we struggle with the same things you do. I'm telling you, people tell you no, they hurt your feelings. They don't see your vision. They think it's a pyramid, a scheme, whatever. We all get the same stuff. You just have to work on yourself. That's why self-development is the books, like the book of the month, that Steve and Gina have on thisisitteam.com, like the book of the month, so important. Plug into those. It changes the way you think about things. If you haven't read Go for No and Go for No, the sequel, I would encourage you to do that, because after you read those books, or I listen to them on Audible, it will completely change your mindset on things. It's like, oh, it's not that big. It's not that big a deal. And so, anyway, I'm thrilled to get to share today, and I hope this helps some people, because I'm telling you, I live out on a ranch. I built my whole business from my phone. Now I'm starting to go out and, help my teams with, getting in people's homes, and when they get together, like I've been traveling around some and getting to spend time with amazing people, and just share the opportunity. But don't ever shy. Don't just talk, the patches. Talk the business too, because you can never know who's been praying for an opportunity like this. You can't judge that. It's not our place to judge it. So anyway, I hope that helped a little bit, Steve and Gina. And is there anything else that y'all would like me to cover?
Penny, amazing. Was that incredible story?
Amazing.
People are, we got pages and notes. We want to thank you for blessing so many people with your amazing story. I know that on that video we played earlier too, like I love how you helped everybody clarify too. Like she didn't bring nobody over. She never, did you hear? She never succeeded in this industry ever in her life. And you were down on your luck, like you said, that very emotional message that you gave us, how you had to sell your herd, and you thought, because it's a very hard place to start a business, that you have to be positive. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Yeah.
you
I
started
mean, it is a hard place. Uh, I think that's where grit comes in, though. Uh, my dad, I don't know if y'all know this, but my dad had polio when he was 20 years old. And so I've got three brothers, and he taught us how to ranch sitting in a pickup. He couldn't ride a horse anymore. He taught us how to ride horses. We showed cutting horses. Like my dad taught us how to fix fence, how to work on windmills, all these things he taught us sitting in a pickup. And when he first got sick, he was 98% paralyzed. All he could move were his eyes. And so when I was growing up, he'd tell us to do something, and we'd say, I can't do that. And he said, can't never could do anything.
Mm, mm.
And,
you just
you know, so I think about that a lot. My dad, he lived a rich life, and he never let that slow him down, and he was a very present, involved, he and my mom in our lives, and I think about that now, and we're a soft society. Things have gotten watered down over time. We're soft, and if it's uncomfortable, a lot of times we don't want to do it, and we also want immediate results. This isn't an immediate result business. I'm in the ag business, so we breed cattle, then you have to wait, nearly a year for them to be born, and then another period of time for them, to get old enough to sell. You plant a crop, wait for it to come up, wait on the harvest. So there's some lag time in that. So that wasn't such a different concept for me, but for some people it is. There is some lag time in this. So you're sowing seeds, and you're waiting on the harvest, but you just keep sowing everywhere you go, sow and sow and sow, and the harvest comes. You will reap, but you just have to keep sowing constantly.
Yeah, that is amazing what you said there too, because what's interesting about our opportunity, that you got to look at what the positive points are. Like, when you have to start a farm or start any other business or anything else, like you were saying, whether you're breeding cattle, you have to put the effort in, and then it's going to return on the investment. But most of the time, you have to quit whatever you were doing to start a restaurant or whatever it is. Here, at least, while you're waiting and you're planting seeds and you're making this a priority, you have got your career. You still, whatever job the person has, they get to keep that. It's not like we have to quit. You build this around what you're already currently doing, and that's a blessing. It's not like they're ever going to have that kind of opportunity again. I mean, if I was going to start a farm, I got to quit cold turkey,
Oh yeah.
and we're working together, and we got a lot of risk, right?
A lot of risk, and that is the beauty of this business. Like there's people making full time incomes working part-time at this. They've got a full-time job, and one of the ladies on my team, she's a flight attendant for a private airline company, and it took her 7 years to hit the peak, in her company, and she's been there like 9 years. So she's capped out at what she can make. She exceeded that in 7 months in this business. What took her 7 years? I mean, unbelievable, unbelievable. Got another friend, and they're in the tow business, and she talks about buying new tow trucks and getting them outfitted and on the road and all that stuff. Like the return on investment is a long time, but it's not this
No.
for such a
This is so
small
fun.
investment.
It's fun for all of us to do. I think I was going to say too that the timing couldn't be any better for everybody. And here's why.
Yeah.
First of all, none of us knew it was going to be this big or this was going to win. But now we have your story. You just did it. Okay. And you're not the only one. We've got Joe. We have many other people that are hitting SPD and above. But would you agree from all your other network marketing experience, the timing of people looking compared to any other time in history right now is amazing.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's like that's the opportunity, especially.
Oh, unbelievable. Unbelievable. And the economy, it's got a lot of people hurting. People are looking. And I'd heard a while back that, it only takes a lot of people, if they'd had $500 more a month, they wouldn't have lost their homes. And I think about that. There's so many people on my teams making $500 a month or more. Like I said, not guaranteeing anybody anything, but $500 is not hard to make in this business a month, and it could keep people from losing their home. Like that's incredible. So yes, the timing couldn't be better. There's it's just an unbelievable opportunity. They're all coming.
Probably the only difference between the people that are winning and they're not, I would say in a big way, is staying consistent. Am I right? Like you just got to, like you said,
Absolutely.
don't feel like doing it. You think of your dad, do it. You know what I mean? Like at least you had him. Like if they don't have a dad like yours, they got to pretend that your dad is their dad sitting in that pickup truck paralyzed saying,
That's
just
right.
do it. I mean, that's the attitude, because if they just stay consistent, you can't help but find people that need what we have to offer.
Absolutely. Consistency is the key. I mean, it really is. You know, uh, I think people get hung up on, oh, I've got to go find a bunch of people that want to do what I'm doing. Literally change people's lives with a patch. And then the ones that, circle back, check with them, and then see if who do they know and love that you could share with for them. Just like you said, I put people in for people that know a lot of people, but they don't have the time or the internet or the computer or whatever. Help people, help people, help people. And couldn't be uh, more in agreement with you about the consistency. You just have to just do it day in and day out, day in and day out, day in and day out.
What really gets the people, the community. They see that doesn't matter if you're whether it's the whole group or that one person that you're helping, you're seeing that you're helping them. And by the way, they're leading you to people. So you just keep grabbing them and working with the people. If they can't work with them right now until they can work with them, and then they start saying, hey, look at I'm making 500 a week. I want to help some more.
Right.
Let's
And
talk a little
that
bit about that event thing that you were talking about, because she said she went SPD in 5.5 months. Now, we don't want to compare anybody to anyone. Now, here's
No.
someone who never succeeded in this industry before. So it's doable for anyone that decides to make it happen. Okay.
And was going through challenges, but didn't let
Yeah.
her challenges
She's
overtake
listening to her dad.
her life. She knew from her growing up and your raising that you knew it's a small shift and you got this.
You
And
got
I
to do it.
love how Joe grabbed you
Yeah.
and said, hey, you want to get your patches paid for? And one of
right.
your great things I love that you say is you had so many nuggets, but one of them that to me, because you had a lot of people at the last convention,
Yeah.
everything duplicates good, Urbad. And I love that because you knew you were smart enough and you saw Steve and I and who we are and our credibility and our work ethic and our hearts and our passion and our drive that you trusted us and you brought heaps of people to the last convention. And that is really, really important that people don't always get that. But the McDaniels, the Andy and Mandy Hoyser team, they definitely get it. That whole entire leg gets it.
Yeah. I was going to say that at least I was part of getting you almost 200 people, and you might have had 200 people because you
Yeah.
lose track. There's only so many,
Yeah.
you know.
And people coming at the last.
So she's telling us that she went from, not many days earlier, but she already got the concept that you got to get people to the event. Does it make sense? There's a couple questions here I want to ask you. First of all, they need to have a goal how many they're going to have at the all-in event that's coming up in January. Second of all,
whether it's live or it's virtual, but
you got to have
you got to have the goal.
Second, right. When you went to Elite, so you said 5.5 months I was SPD. I went to this convention, the Next Level convention, a few weeks ago or so, and then you skyrocketed to Elite because you brought so many people. Would you agree you didn't really work any harder to go from SPD to Elite? I mean, these people that came were on fire and you couldn't stop them. Tell us a little bit about setting the goal, and then what happens is like it actually is what catapults your business, and you don't have to do as much work. I want people to hear this.
Absolutely. That's the thing. Like that event does so much work for us. I could never train. I could never teach people all the things that y'all taught them at that event and all the people that shared, and one person resonates with somebody better than somebody else, so they can get all that and you just pick up nuggets from everybody. And so when I came back, I didn't work any harder. I didn't let off the gas, but I didn't work any harder than I'd been working. And then it's just like a snowball. And it's interesting to watch, my volume keeps going up. I'm like, thank you, Jesus. Like, but it's unbelievable. And that happens every time, like after an event. I put together just a spreadsheet just to keep up with my own self, like different things. And it kind of evolved over time. But in looking back at it, it's so funny. I even started noting when the events were in this spreadsheet because you could see the things that changed afterwards. It's really pretty interesting to track. So
I wanted people to hear that because I want them to see that that's really where the rubber meets the road. I mean, when you get moving, and I'm glad that I at least was a part of it, that I looked you in the eye and you said, you can double your numbers. And you remembered that because, we're telling everybody on here right now, you can double, you can triple, you can quadruple your numbers between now and January's event. And don't take lightly the team events because the team events have the corporate people there, but they teach you everything you possibly need to know. And I will say that there's a lot of people too that were on virtual last January. And the minute it was over, they said, I've got to be live because I know that's where the fire is in Orlando.
Yeah.
So it is still a possibility for you to be live in Las Vegas. You can still got time to get your tickets. Right. So that's something important. And you got to do what Penny's doing. She's keeping track of how many she has so that you got to focus. You're not just, you're not just, looking at this and you're not just wondering if it's going to happen. Yeah. You can already see with her. I mean, I was talking to Danny just yesterday and we're basically saying 200 people. I have 300. Okay. But 200 people skyrocketed you to Elite at the event. So
right. Absolutely.
That number down. If you want to skyrocket to Elite, you got to have people on each side. No problem. But that can skyrocket you to Elite. So write down the number and how hard is it really to get 200 people out of the billions of people in this world? I mean, 65 people came from Australia, for crying out loud.
That's crazy. And Steve, I don't know if you remember this, but when you told me, you said, start calling people and get them to invite their people. So I did. I did. I'm like, I mean, team building's new to me. Like I'm learning it as I go. Like you can earn while you learn though in this business. That's pretty cool. But you told me to pick up the phone and call people and say, who can you get on your team there? So that's what I did. I had me a list, and I there's a good possibility I had 200 people there because I lost track at 170 completely. And
Yeah.
so
Interesting thing is, it's too bad I didn't look every single person of those 200 people that were in our basement that day in the eye and say what I said to you, but at least you were the one that I spoke with and you
That's right.
listened.
That's
But
right.
at least all the other ones, they're hearing it now. They see that you didn't take lightly what we were talking about. And what you do is like, if what I was saying to Penny is, if you got 5 people signed up right now,
Right.
go to them. If you've got a goal to have 50 people, how many do they want to bring? If they all say they want to bring 5, well, think about that. That's
There
already
you
getting
go.
you moving toward your goal. You set a goal with each one of them starting today. Don't procrastinate. Let people know. You can't wait till January and then think you're going to promote. You got to get people moving right now. But Penny, we just want to thank you so much for sharing and
Yeah.
blessing all these people. What an amazing story. We appreciate everything you're doing. We're so blessed to have you as a friend. Yeah, a business partner is great, but to have you a friend is much more
That's
important.
right.
And this community, like you said earlier, is just all of us just wanting to help everybody win and succeed. And whoever the person is, whether, like you said, it was Mike Hernandez or Joe or Rebecca or the Plants or Danny or Andy or the Curtises, there's so many, the Brandon, so many different people.
Yeah.
Everyone's voice matters to help everyone win. So if you're the newest person listening today, we need you to step up. We need
That's
every
right.
one of you
That's
to
right.
be the next Penny so that you can tell your story to touch the hearts of all the people that we
And
have
I
been.
don't think people really realize that when you are you're raising cattle and horses, this is a 24/7 hour job. No one has any clue. I know that my parents they raised animals, pigs and chickens, and I mean we had all kinds of stuff. And I'm telling you, when there's a cow that's going to give birth and it's struggling, that's money that's getting birthed. You don't just let the cow struggle. You're out there helping her deliver it so you have a healthy little calf. Guys, this is a big deal, but this business, I guarantee she's like, wow, this is not a 24/7 hour
Yeah.
job. The relief and the stress that she has, the shift that she made, she got honed in on those simple little skills, and look at what she's got, the freedom, the flexibility. It's amazing. Now, if she wants to go back raising the cattle and the horses, she can, but no stress. That's the great part.
Thanks again, Penny.
the no stress, there's a lot of outside influences with agriculture, that weather, market that you have no control over. And so it's kind of funny when people say, oh, I love winter, and I chuckle and I'm like, obviously you haven't raised animals for, for a living, because when you want to be in your house all nice and toasty, no, you're all bundled up, chopping ice and hauling them feed. So,
That's right.
so
That's right.
yeah, so this you can be in the house. I get to watch my kids do it now. So I'm like, y'all go ahead, I'll get my fix, drive around, look at baby calves, and I still raise horses, but it's like I can get my fix, but I don't have to worry about that.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Penny, for pouring into everyone on This Is It team. This is so incredible, guys. This is recorded. It will be up within an hour, guys. What a great tool to take and share with everyone that is just kind of on the teetering, the teeter totter. Should I, shouldn't I, shouldn't I, shouldn't I? Guys, listen, she knew that, hey, she prayed for something and this is what God gave her. And thank goodness for Joe and Shannon Navarro that they just pressed in, pushed in, loved on her, and encouraged her to win. And look at what his organization is developing.